Hi, this is Eric Metcalf, and you're watching The Unhappy Hour.
And if you're watching live, that took literally no time at all. Or if you're watching after the fact on youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia, thank you for watching. Click subscribe, leave some comments, let the ads play. It's like throwing a couple pennies into the wishing well. We appreciate it. And we are back with Zak Baris. You can find him on Twitter at ZBaris. That's ZBaris. And you must go back a couple of days to Zak's timeline and see the epic double-fisting photograph of the hot dog at, well, I'll just call it Jacobs Field. I know it's progressive, but at the Cleveland Indians game the other day. It's pretty hilarious. Zak, we already covered the Celtics and the Cavs. Now we're moving over to the Western Conference. Some people are calling this the actual NBA Finals. I think that's highly dismissive of the Cavaliers, but that's fine. We got to prove it on the court. This is the Rockets versus the Warriors. It's something we've all kind of anticipated. We were going to head toward the whole season. Here we are. So maybe kind of start with let's start with the Warriors, the defending champs. What did we learn from watching them play against having a moment.
Pelicans?
Yeah, thank you, Pelicans. I kept thinking Sixers. Yes, the Pelicans. What did we learn about watching him play? Watching the Golden State Warriors play against Anthony Davis and crew.
I mean, what we witnessed why they're the defending champs. They wiped the floor with the Pelicans other than one game. I mean, they won in 5. They were impressive. They started to look like themselves too, especially in games 4 and 5. They were very impressive. It's going to be scary to watch them play against Houston. It's going to be a great series. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So it's going to be, what part is going to be scary? Just because they're so talented, or because both teams are so talented?
They're just so talented. Yeah, they really are just a great team.
And Steph Curry coming back after taking a lot of time off. You're pretty encouraged with what you saw, obviously, right? I guess there's.
Yeah, he looked good. Yeah, he looks good.
Draymond Green.
I tend to think the Warriors will be Houston in 6 or 7.
Okay.
I think it's better for you just hope these two teams beat the snot out of each other. In order to help Cleveland. You hope Cleveland has an easy series. So Cleveland gets rest while these two teams are injured.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what you can hope for. That's what you get by getting a closeout. That's what you get by getting the sweep, is you get the time. You get the time for your body to heal, your mind to heal, to get extra preparation, to put new game plans in place. That's always good. With the Pelicans, with Boogie Cousins, that's kind of an unresolved issue there. Do you think it's a sure thing he comes back? Do you think he's on the trading block? Do you think the Pelicans are going to make any moves?
He's a free agent. He's an unrestricted free agent. I really don't know what depth is going to happen this year. It all depends what kind of contract the Pelicans offer him next year.
Yeah,
I think that's the biggest thing which goes into this, and I really don't know. I don't know the extent of his injury to see how quick his recovery is. But anytime a 7-footer has an injury like that, it's got to be scary.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Yeah, we've seen it derail the careers of many a player over the years. Are you
willing to handicap your team by signing to a 4-year deal? Or are you signing to a 1-year max deal and say, okay, we'll do a prove-it deal? Or is another team going to come in with a lot of cap, like the Indiana Pacers, and say, listen, we're going to give them the contract deal? I'm not saying the Pacers will. I'm just saying they're a team with, that's good, young, and has cap space. They already have Miles Turner. So I don't see that one happening, but it's possible.
Yeah. Well, in the NBA these days...
Or do you see a sign and trade by the Pelicans and the Heat? And have Cousins go to the Heat what's his name goes, Hassan Whiteside goes to the Pelicans. That's another deal that could be made. I don't think it'll happen, but it's possible.
Well, Pat Riley does not seem happy with Whiteside at all. And Boogie tends to wear out his welcome.
Exactly why it becomes a possibility.
Exactly. No, it's very interesting, and I heard that they offered a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years to Boogie, and he wasn't very happy with that. But Anthony Davis is absolutely incredible. I don't know what you do to try to build his team up a little bit better. The trade for Cousins was a big one, but obviously it doesn't help you out much when he's not on the court. So another season to consider over there. What about the Jazz? What did we learn about Donovan Mitchell as they battled the Rockets and eked out a win? But again, they went down in 5.
They're a young team that's on the rise too. Don't forget Derek Favors is a free agent too. So do they go and re-sign Derek Favors? What happens to this offseason? What happens to him? Where does he go this offseason? What kind of money do they pay him? There are a lot of underlying factors to see what happens with the Jazz. With Ricky Rubio, with Derek Favors. it'll be very interesting to see what happens with what the Jazz decide to do this offseason. They're lucky. They've got some of their players locked up. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is going to be a top 10 player in this league within the next year or two.
How did he get missed by so many teams? What he was drafted where? Was it 8?
No, later than that even. 13.
Jeez. How did he get missed by so many teams? He's an incredible player.
I don't know. I mean, how did Jimmy Butler get passed up 25 times?
Kawhi got passed. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the beauty of the draft. That's why it's so important. I mean, there's plenty.
It's all about player development too, Brian. He could have gone to the Sacramento Kings, barely played the season. You wouldn't even know who Donovan Mitchell is.
That's a good point. You don't think he would have saw playing time with the Kings, or just because they're so crappy?
We don't know. All I'm saying is, look how many players the Kings have had in the top 10, and look how many of them have become superstars other than DeMarcus Cousins.
That's a fair point. That's a very fair point, and that's
all I'm saying. It's like the Cleveland Browns of the NBA. I'm not saying the Browns. It is nearly impossible for the Browns to just pick terrible players every year. They just never develop their talent, and that's what I'm saying. When you don't develop, you can take guys that aren't supremely talented and develop them properly, and they become a star. The Browns never did it. The Sacramento Kings never properly developed their talent. That's what I'm getting at. When you don't properly develop talent, you're never going to get a superstar. Let's just say Ben McLemore would have gone to a different team. Could he have potentially been a great player? Yeah. We don't know. We'll never will know. But he could have been a great player. We'll just never know now.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I mean,
that's all I'm saying.
Or you could be the Rockets, and then you pilfer, the Oklahoma City Thunder to get James Harden, and then you pilfer the Clippers and go ahead and get Chris Paul. You can build a team off the waiver wire, off of trades, off of free agency, I guess. Talk about how scary the Rockets look. What did you see excelling? What are some areas you think that should be of concern to the Rockets when they match up against the Warriors?
The Rockets can shoot the 3 ball better than anyone. I mean, when you've got CP3 and James Harden, you make up the best backcourt in the NBA. And I'm saying that's better than Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. However, the Warriors have enough and also I think Clint Capella, we've talked about him before on the show. He is one of the most underrated players in the NBA. He had a phenomenal season. He's so young. Houston really has assembled a big 3. Clint Capella is going to be a future All-Star at that position. He's a very, very good player.
And where was he a draft pick? He was drafted by him, or where did he come from?
He was a draft pick, yeah, late first round.
How many? So this is how many seasons?
I believe it's his 3rd.
Okay, so 3 years in, they've developed him, and then they got the veteran presence around him. Okay.
Yeah.
And so
Daryl Morey's just done a great job with him.
Well, talk about the matchups then. Talk about the backcourt, how they match up with the Warriors. Who has the advantage?
He's in his 4th season.
Okay, thank you. Well, we'll talk about the backcourt. How is that going to match up against the Warriors? Is that like a wash? They're going to come out a little ahead?
No, it's not a wash. They're just 2 totally different teams. That's the thing. They're 2 totally different teams.
Of course, right.
Houston has a ton of firepower coming from the backcourt. So does Golden State, just not as much. They're 2 totally different the way they play. Don't forget Curry's your big time scorer in Golden State. Harden's your big time scorer in Houston. It's a little different. Chris Paul is an unbelievable facilitator. Golden State doesn't have a player like that. They can facilitate like CP3 does.
Okay.
So it's totally different. Totally different.
So that's what? That's theoretically going to collapse the defense a little bit, allowing some of the 3-point shooters to get better looks, which would then favor the Rockets?
Yeah, it'll just be interesting to see. It's going to be hard to determine this, but I haven't watched film on both of these teams, how they played this year. I've watched their matchups, but again, regular season means really nothing when it comes to the postseason. We've witnessed that in multiple years.
Yeah, just look at the Cavs to see that one. Exactly.
Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens in this series. I tend to think it'll go 7 games.
Oh, okay.
Houston needs to win the first 2 at home, though, to really solidify and put their stamp on this series. Because we all know that winning in Golden State is not easy. The Cavaliers are really the only team in the playoffs in the last 3 years to win a home game, to win an away game in Golden State.
Wow. That's pretty incredible when you lay it out like that. That starts to sound ridiculous. Yeah.
They just don't lose at home unless it's for the Cavs. and they've lost 3 games. They've lost 3 games in the last 3 years against the Cavs at home in the finals.
They're getting used to it. Sounds consistent. I'd like to keep that trend going. At least one this year.
Well, last year the Cavaliers didn't swipe one. They lost in 5, and they didn't swipe one in Golden State last year. So Houston needs to, in order to take control of the series, you want to win the first 2, especially game 1 is a must-win for Houston. Otherwise, Golden State takes back home court advantage right away. And then you're forcing yourself to have to go in there and take one on the road in Golden State, which is not an easy task. And if Golden State goes up 3-1, yeah, we all know the 3-1 jokes, but this team is different than they were 2 years ago.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they got the snake. They got the snake playing for them. Okay, so then I guess to wrap that one up, you're going to say Warriors and okay, I'm guessing. Yes,
Warriors in 7. I'm going to say Warriors in 7. Golden State managed to take one of the first 2, though, and I'll go Golden State Warriors. I think Golden State could win this in as soon as 5, but I'm going to say Golden State in 7.
Okay, I'm going to say Rockets in 7. I think the Warriors.
I hope you're right.
Well, okay. Let's just play that game, and then we'll kind of pause this segment. We'll bounce it.
No, I think Cleveland. I don't even want to talk about the matchups yet in the finals. We're not there yet on who's a better matchup for Cleveland because you can't look past the Celtics.
Darn, I want to, but fine. You're the guest. I will allow that.
You just can't look past Boston yet. Until you're up 3-0 on Boston or something, and you know that you're going to win this series. Don't look past them because it's not a gimme. It's like you couldn't look past Indiana either. Indiana took that to 7 and almost won it.
Indiana almost beat us. Yeah, I know. That's very fair. And Brad Stevens is a heck of a coach. We'll see how it plays out for sure. Speaking of head coaches, 2 more points on the NBA, and then we want to get the current NBA, and then I want to talk about Jordan for a minute here. The Toronto Raptors fired their head coach, so, coach of the year to fire the same season. Talk about what's going on in Toronto. I mean, we covered it the other day, but are you surprised?
We talked about it. It's the LeBron James effect.
He is a coach killer.
I don't think firing Dwayne Casey is the answer. I think you just need to blow up the roster.
I agree.
Is more of it. I mean, why would you fire? Dwayne Casey took them to their best seasons in Raptor history, and you fire them. They got greedy. You honestly, they have the wrong team at the wrong time.
I mean, and is Kyle Lowry and DeRozan and Valanciunas, are they really going to beat the Warriors or the Rockets?
No.
I don't.
That's the thing.
So it's not just about getting out of the East. It's about, you're not a top 3 team.
No, they're a very good team, but they're not good enough to win it all. And that's the thing is, they ran into LeBron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember when I had some friends here in February from Toronto, the day after the Cavs made that trade, they're like, oh, well, we're still the superior team. I go, the Raptors were never the superior team. I mean, the Cavaliers will still beat you in the finals. And in the Eastern Conference Finals in 4 or 5 games. It's not even a challenge.
Right. Well, you know how homers can be. I'm definitely a homer myself. I see the Browns going
our own way, Brian, but we all have to be realistic too.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll see. We'll see who. I mean, are there any candidates for that position yet? I don't know if I saw any of that.
Mike Budenholzer, but again, what did Budenholzer do against the Cavaliers that would make you think any differently?
He got
a 60-win Hawks team that lost to a beat-up Cavs team without Kevin Love and barely Kyrie Irving, and you lost in 4.
Yeah, so, we have his number too, so go ahead and put him there. Why not? Adam Reese in the chat room in the Facebook group. By the way, it's a private Facebook group. You got to do a search for The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. Click to join, and we just want to make sure we bring in Indians, Cavs, Browns, Buckeye, Blue Jackets fans into the group. Adam Reese is saying that their GM did the same thing to George Karl in Denver. So it's a weird world being an NBA coach. There's only 32 of them, but man, those posts they can disappear.
30, Brian.
I'm sorry, 30. 30 teams in the NBA, and those positions can turn over rapidly. Talk about one more coaching thing, and then I want to get to Jordan. Hearing stories about the Knicks reaching out to LeBron James camp before making their hire. Any thoughts on tampering or that story? What's going on with Fizdale over there?
I thought it was a good hire by the Knicks. I think they got something right.
Okay. Anything specifically about if the Knicks reached out to LeBron James' management team before they hired him?
No.
Just that's due diligence, that's normal? Okay. Well, then let's not worry about that. Okay. We're going to wrap up this segment here. This is segment 2 out of 3. So the first segment was the Eastern Conference Finals matchups. This is the Western Conference Finals matchup. And if you're watching live, this is going to take just 1 second. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, the next video is in this series. This will be part 2, moving into part 3. We're going to talk about Michael Jordan. What happened when he took time off to go play baseball? Is it the story that we think it is? Is there some smoke to it? What are the rumors? What are the garbage rumors?
Brian, I've got a work call coming in. I've got to take this. We're going to have to finish up the Jordan segment tomorrow.
Deal. Do your thing.
Sorry.
There he goes, everybody. That's how quickly you can lose a guest. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so we're not going to do that. Maybe what I could do, because I really have done this segment before. I would have to go back through 7 years of shows to see when I'm discussing Michael Jordan. Because I take I take notes on every show. So kind of topics, things that I'm going to get to, questions, additional topics that I don't want to forget. I know it's in there. I know I can pull it out. Maybe that's what I'll do. But it's a very interesting question. If you're talking about greatest of all time, I mean, what was Michael Jordan doing? I mean, what did he really just decide to go play baseball? Did the league kick him out? His dad's death, was that related to some unpaid gambling debts? There's a lot of rumors out there. And I'm not saying that just by bringing it up and asking the questions, I necessarily believe them. But I found it weird that all those things happened right at the same time. I found it highly coincidental, which made me ponder if we should look for a little bit more information about those. So anyhow, for another day, another time, special thanks to Zach for joining us today. He did have to run quickly, but we appreciate the 2 segments he did with us. So on Twitter, we are at American_media_. On Facebook, we're facebook.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. Our Facebook group for The Unhappy Hour only. It's a private group. Search The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. We're on Patreon.com. Patreon.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. You can sign up to assist funding our efforts over here as we always look to grow and improve the operations and hire more staff and crew to get more cool product and content out to you. Instagram.com. We have 2 of those. Instagram.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. That's where our politics and current events and humor, and it's a kind of a grab bag. But we have one dedicated to sports. It's Instagram.com/TheUnhappyHour. So be sure to check out all the places that we're at online. I want to thank Adam and Devin and Jennifer and Bill and everybody for checking out the show live. But we are definitely posting this after the fact for you to enjoy in its entirety. So thank you. I appreciate you. We'll talk again soon. Take care. Peace.